music out. I don't know. Would you pop in fairly early tonight and check the audio? Oh, you do? I think so. Let me see. Yeah, 1 cup of water is not split evenly between the boys, but food they need. Oh Lord, have I been running around with a hot mic in the room?
Mic off. Mic on.
Alrighty. It is time once again for a Worldbuilding Wednesday. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully I can get this right tonight. We had some audio issues with Saturday's game, and I think we got it cleared up during Monday's stream, but just in case, I've got somebody close by that'll signal me if I have a problem with audio sounding tinny or distorted like it did Saturday. It was weird because I could hear everything just fine, both the Discord chat and the local audio, but the what went out on stream was utter hot garbage. So I apologize for that. We will get better. All right, so tonight we are doing world building in our fantasy and sci-fi settings, and of course, you know, I use Fantasy Grounds as my virtual tabletop, so I've got it loaded up in the background. But most of what's going to happen tonight is going to occur with, you know, chatting and talking through different elements of the game, the homebrew worlds. Before we get started, you know, I can get a little radical with the mouth, so just a little disclaimer that this stream does contain adult language, behavior, humor, and situations that may not be suitable for all audiences, so viewer discretion is advised. I am definitely not safe for work after 5 p.m. So, a couple shout outs tonight. Drexus 2011 is back online after he's been gone for about 2 weeks, so I'm going to shout out to him because he's been streaming again this week, and I've been watching his stream, and I know he pops in occasionally and watches mine as well. And then my buddy Tasmania 23 Down Under, who is a builder, which I'm going to digress here for a minute and talk about that because I got something I'm really excited about this week that came out, and really I thought they were going to start shipping these on the 20th.
Battery low.
But they've been shipping them sooner, and my microphone is already griping at me about my battery, which is never a good thing. I need a cable. Let me find a cable. I've got one here somewhere. Never fails. So, anyways, chatting about Taz being a Lego builder. I think, you know, it's cool that they get on stream and they do predominantly a lot of chatting. And they do their builds while they're on stream. And so, but because of what I picked up this week, I'm going to kind of do the same. I'm going to join that party just because I have something rather unique to share. Give me just a second here. I'm going to pop this cable in and attach it to the side of my head. And this is a charge only port I'm attaching to, so it should not jack up my audio feed. Give me just a second here.
Charging battery. Mic off. Mic on.
The only bad thing is it's on my left-hand side, and I tend to talk with my hands, and me and that cable are going to fight tonight. Anyways, what I'm so excited about is in this bright yellow and red bag here behind me I'm going to share with y'all. You know, 2024 is the 50th anniversary for Dungeons and Dragons. And if you didn't know that, you do now. I'm sharing a little bit of historical knowledge. You know, I'm an old school DM, so. And so Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro, which, you know, they bought out TSR, and you know, basically they are Dungeons and Dragons these days, and they've made a few missteps, but I'm not going to digress into that right now. So there is this really cool Lego set that came out for the 50th anniversary. And I'm going to build this monstrosity on stream. Actually, I've got Lego builds I've done before, and this one is almost 4,000 pieces, so this is going to be probably a 13 to 15 hour build. I'm not going to try to do it in one session because no, that is not a pretty sight. Brian, after 14 hours sitting at a table futzing with Legos, is not a pretty sight. He has to have breaks, so we'll probably stream this multiple times. So, but check it out. Check out all the Lego-y D&D goodness. Oh my gosh! Of course, we've got the massive red dragon. We've got a purple beholder. We've got a displacer beast. Somewhere in here, there's the gelatinous cube, and I think these over here are black puddings. And there should be, okay, we've got skeletons. There should be an owlbear here somewhere. I'm looking for the owlbear. Whoop, drop it on my face. He's right here on the front. So yeah, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to join the ranks of Twitch Lego building streamers for a couple of episodes, a couple of extra episodes, starting Sunday. I'm going to start on that, so try to get some hours in, get 4 to 5 hours in, and get some build progress going and share that with y'all, just because I'm a nerd and this is what nerds do in their off time. All right. Oh, I noticed my mic is clipping now because it's maybe picking up through the cable instead of wirelessly. So I'll try not to get too loud and radical with y'all. So that is coming. In other stream news, Saturday's Weekend Adventures will not be a game this weekend nor next. We're going to have our next game session on the 27th. And so that will, that's of course two weekends away. But I'm going to have some filler time. I think this weekend we're going to play some Neverwinter Nights. So me and the guys are going to load up Steam, and one of us is going to host a server, an NWN server, and we're going to get into Neverwinter Nights together. So that ought to be entertaining. my boys were kind of shocked when I told them, because Neverwinter Nights is an older game from like the early 2000s, that the very first time I played it start to finish, I played it as a grunt, just a fighter. No spell casting, none of those other crazy classes that with their abilities. I just went through the game like an effing tank and beat the game after about 60 hours. So, but I'm not going to be so boring this weekend. It's my chance to aggravate Matthew, who loves to aggravate me on live stream, if you've never noticed. Father and son playing D&D together. He will do outrageous shit, just because Matthew likes to do outrageous shit. And he also knows that, yeah, I will allow only so much outrageous shit before I shut down the outrageous shit. Anyways, that's enough shit about that. So, but this Saturday, 7:30 Central, we will be live streaming the group of us playing Neverwinter Nights together. For those of you who want to jump in, hang out, and watch us talk crap and smack to each other like all gamers do, and co-op this thing. All right, moving on. Goodness gracious. Let's see. And now my mouse is wanting to be stupid. What is everybody against me tech-wise tonight? Alright, the basic community stuff. Don't be a thunder jerk. Be a thunder jerk towards the monsters when we're gaming. There's usually enough of them. Be respectful to others. Don't be bullying people. I will use the chat moderator features. I am not afraid. And as of course, when we're gaming, no backseat gaming or spoilers, mechanics errors. If you're a rules lawyer, you can go argue with me on Discord, because I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of arguing with you in chat. I'm the DM, damn it. It's my way or the highway. No, that's not always the case. I can be convinced when I'm wrong, but I don't like having rules arguments in mid-session. So, alright, so tonight, let's get to actually doing some stuffs. This is kind of a social building portion of world building, and those of you who have been tuning in regularly know that there's a lot of stuff that I don't get super granular with, because I'm writing a gaming campaign or a homebrew world for a gaming campaign and not a sci-fi novel. So it's not necessary for me to detail every little thing. But I feel that we need to at least touch on this to lend some structure to the campaign building. So tonight we're going to look at what people do for work in a sci-fi setting, in a fantasy setting. How that translates into, the social classes, the social divides, and where there are opportunities for mobility upward and downward. So, all that being said, rather dry stuff, and probably more blue collar than white collar. And my sense of humor will probably go right along with that. Right down the toilet it goes. So, in my fantasy setting, I've got a couple things I want to focus on. For most trades, and even for non-trade work, children are expected to start working and helping, at the age of 14. That's when they're going to be working the farm. They're going to be working it before that, but they're going to be working when they hit 14. Likewise, if you are in a skilled trade where you have to be apprenticed, and thus begins your 7-year apprenticeship, a tradesman is going to make a selection. This is going to be a rite of passage. So, 14 years old. officially working or beginning an apprenticeship to a tradesman, which most of your tradesmen are going to be guild affiliated, right? So the guild comes into bearing here. And in this case, the guilds hold some political power as well with the governance, because you've got your court system, which nobles could be real tyrants, but the guilds have some ability to counterbalance that in the legal system. So apprenticeships will be 5 years. Apprenticeships. Apprentice, if I can spell. 7 years. Now you can be removed from an apprenticeship because maybe you're not a good fit, and you can go through the selection process on the next year, or that year if you're asked to leave an apprenticeship before the time of choosing. Otherwise, if the time of choosing for this year is already passed, and your tradesmaster says, off with ye of little worth and work effort, then guess what? You're going to have to wait till the next time of choosing, and of course you're going to be an older young person in a crowd of mostly 14-year-olds trying to vie for another apprenticeship position. And this is where things typically go south. A lot of your banditry and your running away to become a sailor / turning into a dread sea pirate lord, that's how this shit gets started. So little story building there. In terms of the social / socioeconomic ladder. Typical retirement age. If you live long enough, because it is a medieval fantasy setting, or a high fantasy setting with medieval level tech levels, we're going to say retirement's going to be 55. Isn't that wonderful? Typical employment rights. We're going to come back to high status jobs in a minute because there's a lot I want to plug in there. Typical employment rights. Your tradesmen are protected by a guild. Otherwise, you typically are at the mercy of whoever's holding the gold. He who has the gold makes the rules. The medieval version of the golden rule. Availability of vacancies. Work-life balance. I'm not going to get into those. Those are gray area and getting too granular for me. Let's talk about high status jobs in a fantasy environment. You're going to have your different types of careers, just like we do in the real world. And I hate paralleling real world and this kind of stuff because to me it gets a little boring. You're going to have your agricultural, your animal husbandry, your forestry. There you're not going to have your farm master, but in the case of animal husbandry, most of your noble houses are going to have a horse master. In the case of forestry, you're going to have a huntsmaster. He's going to basically serve as your game warden to protect your to protect your forests from illegal timber and poachers and all of that fun stuff. In the case of your military, you're going to have your nobles that maintain keeps will typically have a sword master. But then above that, you will have formal military structure. So a duchy will have its militia. It's typically going to be a case of the Duke being a knight captain of the army, or a knight general, depending on how powerful the duchy. Your princes are going to also be in that structure because they're typically going to be undergoing formal military training and education, typically under the dutiful eye of the sword master. So these are all positions of esteem in the court. You typically are going to have a hound master. You're going to have, if you have ravens or falcons, you're going to have your avian master. Those are going to be lesser and typically going to be reporting under either your sword master or your hunts master. Your priests. Most noble houses are going to have their own priests. These are typically your fathers, just like in a church. Although you might have an occasional monks, etc., that so your priestly fathers, your abbots, etc. Your monks, your run-of-the-mill clerics, unless your cleric is holding a congregation, he's your typical adventuring cleric. That's a rung below your clergy that actually serve a congregation. Underneath of these folks, you're each, your animal husband, your horse master is typically going to have apprentices. Your hunts master, your sword master is going to have apprentices. Your priests are going to have acolytes. So moving out of this category of agriculture, animal husbandry, and the forestry, you start to get into the architecture. In this case, you're going to have your design, your keep masters, going to be your responsible for the design of your keep as well as the maintenance, and he's going to oversee, an architect, brick makers, masons, carpenters, construction people. There's multiple apprentices that are going to fall under there. So you're going to have your keep master and your stone mason featuring prevalently. So let me relabel this. We're going to say clergymen are going to be your high profile, and your abbots. Now, coming back into this, your keep master and stone masons. These are the ones that will have apprentices under them. And then your carpenters, your construction, your glazier will serve under typically an architect or a keep master or under a mason, but they will also have protection from their guild. Your artists is where things get a little crazy, because this is where you start to see some class divides. Your courtly fools are typically held in low regard, but they're entertainers. And so you've got the acting guild to contend with. So you can't be torturing the court fools without repercussions. as a noble. But this is also going to encompass your actors, your painters, your choir masters, your, oh my goodness. It may even encompass your traveling minstrels, your bards. The bardic colleges may protect bards in some fashion, or they may fall under another scope of a guild. So, of course, you've got your stage musicians, your theater directors, and the like. So, but again, held in high regard in terms of social status, social divides. Your masters are going to be the highest level typically of these settings, and then you're going to have your directors, your other positions underneath of them. Getting into trades. Your master merchants may or may not, depending on how crooked they are. And this is also going to be a guild-protected position. We're going to note that here, just because this is going to be one of the few high statuses that are going to be guild-protected. Most of your others are surrounding your nobility. Your blacksmiths and armorers are going to be held in high regard and are also going to be guildsmen and guild protected. Your other business type, your business owners, again, how corrupt are they? How crooked are they? As to what their regard level is. Everybody hates the tax collector. I dealt with him this past week and got my taxes done, so he extracted his pound of flesh from me. Your grocers, innkeepers, these are going to be your business and trades people that don't really have a guild protecting them, and hopefully they are living under the protection of a benevolent noble, and not a total jackass that's power hungry or just whack crazy. Your farming community is backing into the agricultural discussion. You're going to have your farms with their hired help. You're going to have some that are going to have, depending on the kingdom, this is one of those areas you start to get into a sensitive subject of slavery. We're going to call it serfdom, just to avoid using that ugly word. But you may end up with serfs working the land, or you may be in the case of the freeholdings under the duchy, you may be a freeholder that the crown grants you the land to farm for a percentage of it, and so you depending on where you are at in that hierarchy, maybe a higher or lower social status, as well as a financial status. I hate making things based on income or money, because then it just smacks into the real world, and I'm not that I don't want to get into that granular mess. Your couriers and messengers that travel from town to town. Your couriers may also be stagecoach type transportation, or I guess we would call them teamsters. I guess they would call them teamsters too. probably not held in high regard in a fantasy setting because they're basically looked at as traveling businessmen. Your crafts, we've already talked about blacksmiths and armorers. You're going to have your brewers. So, do the brewers have a guild? Your brewers and vintners, depending on the quality of their product, could be a good living in and of itself. Your farriers are going to fall under your horse master for your taking care of your horses. Your fletchers for and bowyers for bows and arrows is going to fall under your sword master. Glass workers, your glaziers. Your glaziers are going to be mainly your windows. Your glass blowers are going to be more your bowls and pitchers and glasses and things of that nature. Your lapidaries are going to be your jewelers of the kingdom. Your leather workers, your locksmiths. We start to get into the trade/craft classes discussion here. Your rope maker, your sail makers, your soap maker, your tanner, your taxidermist, your weavers that are taking care of making your fabrics. And then of course you get into the criminal element. And of course this isn't going to be high class or high status job. You're going to have your hired mercenaries, your assassins, your thieves, your bandits, your pirates. You might be one of those people that are fight dogs or again, not looked upon with much love by the nobility and the upper social economic classes. Could be a fugitive. Be a loan shark. You could be a smuggler. Everybody's got to have a Han Solo. Looking at or thinking about governance. Of course, you've got your nobility. And in the case of towns, you may have a council or a mayor. So let's take a look at and add in governance. Your mayor or your council may be looked upon favorably. Nobility is separate. The one thing we didn't touch is your, and pardon the Game of Thrones reference, your master of coin. In your larger duchies, somebody's minting, royal sovereigns, gold coins. So that's going to be, I don't know that it's a high status job, but it's an important job, and the nobility's definitely going to keep tabs on that. Your legal enforcement, your sheriff, your jail masters, your jail keepers, and of course, let's not forget the little bird, since we already used a Game of Thrones reference. Your spy master. Your tax collector is not going to be very highly regarded, but let's talk about. And this would go back to your priest discussion. Healers. Healers are going to be held in high regard because, let's face it, accidents happen. People break bones, get injured, and on the job, or animal attack, or combat, any number of things. So a healer is going to be held in pretty high regard. If you're in a town that has lamps, you're going to have a lamp lighter. Not the the biggest, greatest job. But so some of your common labors of that type, those aren't going to be very high regard. What about magical arts and arcanists? In Raymond Feist's Rift War series, it starts out with one of the counselors to the Duke of Cryde is a lower path magician. And this is considered odd by the country folk because magicians are not held in high regard. They are treated very suspiciously. And it was made even more interesting when Master Colgan decided to take an apprentice. He had never participated in the time of choosing before, but there was a lone boy left in the choosing, and Colgan had previously encountered this boy in the forest and had him take shelter in his forest cottage in a bad storm, so he was at least familiar with the boy of the keep, the orphan of the keep. And but out of almost like a wave of sympathy, Colgan took him in to become his apprentice, having encountered for their previous encounter, noticed that the boy actually had some talent with a crystal ball. They were trying to scry the limits of the storm. So so how are any of these going to be held in high regard? I could look at maybe an alchemist. So we're gonna say arcane arts. This could be your alchemist. Could be held in high regards. What about your I just totally drew a blank. Artificers. An artificer can take a mundane object and imbue it with magical abilities, and all of a sudden you've got a self-cleaning broom sweeping your house. Why waste a cantrip? Or if you don't have the ability to cast a cantrip, then go that route. Get you an artificer and have him enchant something for you. Necromancer is definitely not going to be one that's high on the lists. No, we'll go without that. Let me get a drink here. In tribal societies, your witch doctor could be held in high regard. Or in the case of elven society, your spell weavers, which typically your most powerful spell weavers typically sit on an elven council or ruling council as well. I was there, Gandalf, 3,000 years ago. Oh, sorry. I digressed into Lord of the Rings here for just a moment. What other, could a wizard be held in high status? Depends on the society. So we've talked about the military with the swordmaster, and then in your knight captains, your knight generals, your squires servicing your knights, your special forces. What about, now this would get into a gray area between the two types of work. What about a war mage? I could see in an orc clan a war mage being held in high regard, just like a orc clan would hold a witch doctor in high regard. Maybe your barbarians to the icy north are going to have both. You're going to have a witch doctor in the clan, and then you're going to have war mages in the clan, although most barbarians tend to shun the use of magic. Oh, we talked about the abbot, and well, we didn't go with bishop. So bishops. So your clergymen, your abbots. Let's put healers first. In David Eddings' The Millennium, the church has 4 militant arms of knights, the 4 orders of the church knights to protect her. So the Church of Crealos is protected by 4 militant orders, which it's funny because they pretend they're not militant orders, but they are militant orders. How does that factor? Another gray area here between military. We talked about war mages, but let's talk about paladins, your holy warriors. They're going to ride the fence between the social status of priests and the social status of the military. Where do you stick those? So let's talk about special cases. War mages, paladins, because I could see paladins being held in high regard. I think. Ooh, have we about wore it out? What about in case of, and this would affect the education system, which, I'm one of those universal education advocates, even in a fantasy setting. Children have to have some schooling. What about your teachers, and then your private tutors and your professors? I would say to be gainfully employed, they have to be held in high regard. Let's say scholars. We're gonna put them in above arcane arts. Teachers / tutors, professors. Your alchemist and your apothecary kind of go hand in hand. The barber used to be your bloodletter. You went to get your hair cut, and they would leech the evil from your body, the toxins from your body with leeches. Morticians, probably not somebody everybody is happy to go see. Scribes are going to be kind of your middle class. Your chirurgeon is going to fall under your healer status, even if they're not a priest, but most of your chirurgeons and surgeons are going to be priests. I think we've worn that out. Your teamsters, your caravans, your ferrymen. Now your helmsmen and navigators, society as a whole may look at them and go, oh, it's a sailor. But amongst the social class that is that profession, they're probably going to be held in higher regard than just other crewmen. Your first mate, your helmsman, your navigator, the purser who's in charge of all the stores and the ship's accounts, the money. Your shipwrights, probably going to fall under your I could see that being gilded. and that would fall under your construction, but it's not going to fall under your keepmaster stonemason. We're going to put shipwrights up there together with them. Because of those 3 or 4 we've discussed, your first mate can't talk, your helmsman, your navigators, I don't see those being gilded, but your shipwrights I definitely see being gilded. Sorry, I got distracted by a dog. Little bit. What are you doing? It's my pup. The unemployed adventurers. Yeah, they're not held in very high regard. Bounty hunters, definitely not. Your dungeon delvers, your criminal folk, your bandits, your pirates, your gamblers, your religious heretics, your grave robbers. Yeah, these folks are not going on this list. They'll go on another list somewhere else. Let me... I'm going to actually bookmark one of these resources real quick, because it has come in very useful this evening in discussing this. Alright, so your unsung heroes, you know, what about your icemen, your midwives? They may not be held in the highest regard, but they are definitely necessary, and depending on the social circle, they could definitely be more important. We discussed vintners with your brewers. Let's see. I would see... Do you think they would be gilded? Something to think about. I don't know. Alrighty. Let's digress and let's get all the fantasy stuff done in the first half this evening. So, class divides. This is where it gets messy. Your highest classes are going to be your nobility and your guild masters. Your trade and guild masters. Trade/guild masters. What you doing, girl? Are you pouting? Why are you pouting? Huh? Why is the girl pouting? Hi, mamas. Oh, her's smiling. Her's happy. Yeah, we had a really bad storm roll through East Texas this morning. And, the thunder was pretty bad, so she's been very clingy today. And she was actually outside, and I had to talk her into going out, because she didn't want to go out. She goes out in the yard, and kiss my butt if it doesn't start hailing while she's in the yard. She was thoroughly unimpressed and came flying in the house to me. I felt bad. Yes, I felt bad, mamas. Because you got beat on by the pea-sized hailstones, didn't you? See, it wasn't the cold that bothered me, because I'm a husky. It was the beating. Somebody was throwing rocks. Yeah, they were throwing rocks at my girl. We can't allow that, can we? With your pretty little pink on your snow nose. Yeah. Huskies in cooler weather, their nose will lighten up and develop pink splotches. This is known as snow nose. So I'm going to give you a little husky biology 101 tonight. When she first came to us, she had a pure black nose. and we had a colder than usual winter, so she got her snow nose. Now my oldest husky, Sam, does not get snow nose. Doesn't matter how cold it gets, his nose stays solid black, and he'll be 10 years old in a month. Rocky, our pup, he's got a little pinkish brownish nose to begin with, so he will get some splotches, but she has a definite noticeable snow nose, because when she first developed it, it looked like a little pink heart on her nose. So she had a little pink heart on her nose. That's my girl. I love her to death. She's a pain in the butt sometimes, but I still love her to death. I'm going to relabel this your social classes. We're not going to go based on... So this is going to be... Your poor is going to be your serfs and laborers. Your middle class is going to be your tradesmen and craftsmen. Trades / craftsmen. Your upper class is going to be your trade and guild masters. Locality, housing, education, employment, the religion. Your lowest class is going to be your clerics that are traveling, your acolytes, and then your upper class will be your monks. Your upper class will be your clergymen, your abbots, and bishops. Although I don't think I'm going to use the term bishops, because it smacks too much of the Roman Catholic Church, and we start to get too parallel to the real world, and I draw a hard line between points A and point B at that point. Access to democracy. You have your royal courts, which I wouldn't necessarily consider them democratic. For your upper, you will have your guild courts. And your prince, they're going to kind of have their own thing, and that's mainly also to keep the royals from abusing the guilds and just working everybody to death. Your poor and your middle class is going to be undefined. I'll have to think on that and maybe look at some precedent. Chances for mobility. I'm going to combine that into a single cell. The problem is, as I see it, is this. Merge cells. Is the problem I see with mobility in class divides, and this is true even in our own society, is the climb to success is a steep and dangerous climb for the lower and middle class. But it is all too easy to fall from grace from the upper class. You could have a disgraced duke because of royal politics. You can have a disgraced guild master because of a bad deal or a bad decision. But that's not to say that it's that the climb is impossible. The climb to success is long and difficult. The fall from grace is swift and painful. That's kind of my take on mobility. Period. It's going to be a struggle to climb up and all too easy to fall down. Methods for upward mobility, I'm not going to get into that. Barriers to social mobility. You know, those who are in power want to maintain that power. But they don't want it being crowded at the top. Girl, are you okay? Something bothering you? She whined. Girlie, you okay? You okay? Yeah, you okay? Did you just have something itching? You decided you wanted to talk to it? I don't know. She's being weird. Snobbery and prejudice, just like real life, it exists everywhere. I don't want to get into that. We might role play it, but I'm not going to be so anal retentive to document it out as part of this world building process. I'm just not. Alrighty. So we have a good base and foundation for employment, and class divides, and social mobility laid out for our fantasy setting. Now, let me back up to the initial conversation about the time of choosing and the apprenticeship process. So, after a successful apprenticeship, depending on the trade or craft you're in, you're going to be setting up your own shop, or in the case of very specific roles, you may be petitioning the guild for a posting. You know, sword masters typically work till they're dead or retire, so you don't have very many openings for sword masters. But that is going to be a position that is typically chosen by the nobility. Other positions, like a blacksmith that serves a village or a region, I could see being, yeah, you could go set up shop, but you need guild approval. You want to be in good standing with the guild. So you may seek a opportunity through the guild to either expand your smithy or to start a smithy in a new region or things of that nature. So same thing with your other gilded trades. Your glaziers, your glass blowers, I don't see those being guild protected, but your blacksmiths, your armorers, the nobility's going to have some say in. Your master merchants, that's pretty much you're doing business wherever you can sell product. So, but I do see some gray area in between hereditary and apprenticed style positions, as well as apprenticed positions that are gilded, shall we say, careers versus careers that are not covered by a guild. Okay. Think I've worn out fantasy discussion. I'm going to leave these tabs open. Let's talk about what this looks like in a sci-fi setting. Typical age for starting work is going to be 18 for labor. We're going to say 18 later for secondary education or military. Typical retirement age, we all want to retire by 62. High status jobs. Ugh, my nose is itching, sorry. Your engineers of various types. Your, in the case of specializations, they could be starship environmental specialists, weapons specialists, whatnot. Your atmospheric environmental control specialist, all kinds of things there. And are we going to be unioned or non-unioned? Protected by labor laws and or unions / guilds. A union and a guild is the terminology in this case, the vernacular in this case is interchangeable in my opinion. Your availability of vacancies. I mean, it's capitalism at its worst or at its best, depending on the economy. Work-life balance is going to vary. Based on employer and socioeconomic conditions, economic conditions. Kind of gets into the same things. High status jobs. Your medical. You're going to be your biological, pharmaceutical. What other? Surgical. Surgical is probably going to be your highest of that particular status. Let's see. I mean, anything having to do with space travel is going to be high status, high profile. So that's going to be your engineers, your environmental controls, your weapon systems, your pilots. So we're gonna, and then even your specialists in that setting are going to be pretty high profile, high status jobs. You know, it kind of gets fun because in the case of Starfinder, role-playing game versus the Traveler role-playing game. In Starfinder, you still have the presence of magic. In Traveler, it's pure science. So it could get a little bit of an overlap in Starfinder with your sci-fi and fantasy settings, with your high status things. You know, if you've got a, well, in the case of Starfinder, if you've got an Aslanti rune drive, which was a prototype, that's borderline a magical device. So you're getting a mage or a wizard of some sort involved in that setting, and definitely crosses the lines between homebrews. In that case, makes life a little more entertaining as a GM. Let's see, your communications specialist, because of interspecies communications. Diplomacy is going to be important. Legal system, yuck. Let's not get into this. In the case of your Star Dock operators, you're going to have, in this case, you may have tug operations for ship recovery, search and rescue. You know, the ability to go EVA to help recover a damaged craft. These are all, you know, dirty, dangerous jobs. I'd like to see the micro dirty jobs in space episode. You can get pretty cool. I mean, some stuff's going to be robotic or drone, but other stuff is going to be, you know, kind of unique. Let's see. Your security, your dock workers. I don't think so. Your space traffic controller, kind of like your air traffic controller. What about your asteroid miners? Is that a high status job? Is it a good paying job? On your specialists, how about robotics or drone specialists? That could be a very high status job, high profile job, depending on the mission and the parameters. Let's see. On the medical, your genetics. We're going to take pharma out of there. We're going to umbrella them under, probably under biological. Your different computing engineers, FTL drives. What about your, your xenobiologist, your xenoanthropologist, your xenolinguist? This is going to be your biology, your history, and your communications. So we're gonna, under specialists, we're just gonna say Xeno. It'd be a very high status job as well. Does that cover a good chunk of it? I'm looking at inspiration here. So let's flip forward and talk class divides, because I think I've worn out the employment brainstorming and spitballing for myself for now. Your high social classes, I think you're looking at, oh geez, did I lose it? Your high social classes are you're going to be your corporate, C-suite, and your political. Your lower social classes, you know, you're poor. And in this case, we're going to do lower middle, upper middle to differentiate. And then your will there be an elite class in here? So your upper middle is going to be your highly skilled, like your space ops, your engineers, your captains. Let's flip back and look at that. So your space and your medical. Your lower middle is going to be your specialists. And I don't know why I call them poor. Lower. Let's not throw rocks, right? This is going to be your working class, your entertainers, your service industry, your factory staff. You might even fragment it into unskilled labor below that. But I'm not going to get that ugly. I just don't see it going that way. Access to democracy. Yeah, court system. Both. Chances for mobility. I think in a utopian world, a sci-fi utopian world, if you're trying to go to a Star Trek type utopian idealistic beliefs, then mobility is going to be based on your skills, not just your birth and wealth, right? So so in addition to birth, station, and wealth, upward mobility can be achieved by exceptional skill. Notice I'm not saying skill, I'm saying exceptional skill. It's still going to be a difficult climb, but it's going to be achievable. It's going to be achievable in either setting. It's just, in a fantasy setting, some of the setting itself is the hardship, right? You're doing great. You've the master of caravans. You've got teams of teamsters hauling goods to and fro, and then the orcs attack. Well, you are right royally pooched. Sorry, bud. Now, same thing can happen in a sci-fi setting, but it'll be space pirates. Oh God, what was that? It was in the 80s. It was a B-grade sci-fi flick about space pirates, and they had a space harpy on the ship. Oh my God, what movie was that? I'm just going sideways here. The Ice Pirates? Yeah. Minor element in the 1984 film, The Ice Pirates. Okay, I've got to go look at this on IMDb, and we will discuss this. In a distant future scarce of water, space pirates get caught after stealing ice from a spaceship. They are sold to a princess looking for her dad. He might have found a planet abundant with water. If this shit right here isn't some cheesy B-grade 80s shit, which my universe is filled with this because I'm a product of that generation, then I don't know what is. Oh hell, turn the sound on. This will probably get me a copyright strike on Twitch for this shit right here, but...
At last, the space comedy you didn't know you were waiting to see. The Ice Pirates. In the far distant future, in a galaxy where those in the know don't go, real estate is cheap, and they've got great sushi. But there's no water.
You got any water?
It is a time when desperate men will swing from the chandeliers just to get a drink.
Just take a look at that.
Good men like Jason, space pirate and explorer of the cosmos. His chief engineer and fellow rogue Roscoe.
Here they come. Good. Oh, here, quit that.
And the beautiful Princess Karina. One tiny
It
band
looks like she's 12.
who must bust their buns, battling the masters of all the water in the galaxy. The evil Mithradoids, famous for not being nice.
Killing you would be too easy. I have something better in mind.
The Ice Pirates. See startling special effects. See depravity in zero gravity. See glamour girls from another galaxy. See kung fu robots. And delight in the mysteries of the seventh world. The one place in the universe to get a decent glass of water.
Don't do that.
Better insist. How's it going? Oh, it's going great. How's it going with you?
The Ice Pirates. A totally spaced adventure.
Okay. I couldn't help myself. We went way off into left field here, but it was worth the stupid laughter, if nothing else. Okay. And if I get a strike from Twitch for that, it was worth it. That'll be strike one for me. For my first 3.5 months of streaming, I've not had any copyright strikes, so maybe that one will fly under the radar, or maybe because it's a 35-year-old movie, 40-year-old movie, they'll leave me alone. Who knows? Alright, so what play is religion going to have on social mobility in a sci-fi setting? Well, you can become... Okay, so you can be church hierarchy, or you can be a televangelist. I hope I'm not being harsh tonight. If I am, I'm going to burn in hell. Education is going to be your researchers, scholars. Your housing is going to be your real estate moguls at the high end. I'm not going to touch locality. We'll let that go. Methods for upward mobility. You know, do the work. Do the time. Barriers, of course. Same universal constant. Those who are in power want to remain in power. And then you have your flat out prejudicial snobs that want to look down on people. How do we want to define that? Do we want to define that? I didn't define that in my fantasy setting because I feel like we're getting too much into a mindset of writing as a writer, which, don't get me wrong, as a DM/GM you have to do a lot of, but I think we're getting too granular and being mired in the details of, hey, this is for a book. Well, no, it's not really for a book. This might be a adventure that spans, an adventure arc that spans 4, 6, 8 sessions that there just needs to be a little bit of relevant information on, and I don't need to write a book. So I'm going to leave that alone just because that is my inclination, and just let that be. So let's step back and do a little bit of review. Typical retirement age of 55 is if we live that long, if you live that long enough. You know, because beyond that, after 55, you're going to be the family elder, helping stay home and raise the next generation. Any other high status jobs that I could think of to add here? Let's flip over and see if we can steal anything from here. I would say when we looked at priests, healers, we're going to lump chirurgeons and surgeons into that category. That should say mayor, not major. Council. Okay. We did not list the weavers here, but it's time to go ahead and list them. Although they might clarify, fall under a special case as well. Let me think in terms of dwarven clans. Your high status jobs there are going to be your smithy, your armorer. Dwarven smiths and armorers are going to be the best in the environment, best in the world. And you might have some war mages coming from that environment. So I think we've covered enough bases here to give me a good grounding. We didn't touch on the education scale here. Your landholders, and your freeholdings are going to be your higher social class and your housing environment. Of course, the crown's always going to own a lot of land, especially forested land. It's going to be the royal forest, right? In terms of employment, your trade and your guild masters are going to be the upper. And then your guild members, non-guild members, will be viewed the lowest, and then everything else will vary in between. Your unwashed masses. I think that fleshes that out well. Oh, what you doing, girl? You coming back to see me again? Twice in an evening? What you doing, huh? Being a good girl. Being the good girl, yeah. Oh, where's a good girl? Yeah. Look at your tail. Can they see your tail? They cannot see your pretty tail, just a wagon back there. Oh, and then she stops when I move the camera. Ha ha ha. Silly girl. Silly girl. Silly girl. Oh, now it's going to go. Now we're going to catch it. And then it's going to stop. You silly. You silly. Yes, you are. You silly. My girl? My girl? Where are your brothers at? Where are your brothers? Go get them. Go get your brothers. Where's Rocky? She's silly. Oh, here she comes again. You just can't make up your mind what you want tonight, do you? Okay. What? Do you want out? Do you want out? Let me see if I can get my other half to let her out. I think that's what she wants. Okay, send a text message, see if somebody let her. Oh, oh, here comes Sam. And they're gonna wrestle right here on stream tonight. Oh, lordy. Hey, can I give Sam some attention? Or is it all about you? All you see is Sam's fluffy butt. He's a woolly coated agouti. And so his hair is massively longer than the typical huskies. Girl, leave your brother alone. Now we're going to throw paws. Gee, many Christmas. Hi. Oh, get the fluffy butt. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get the fluffy butt. Yeah. It's not often he comes in on stream. Oh, well, watch. That was my hand you tried to mouth, girl. Yeah. Hi, Sam. Sam just wants some attention, and she's like, nope, nope, you cannot talk to my daddy, you cannot visit my daddy, you cannot be petted by my daddy. She's a brat, isn't she, Sam? Okay, so y'all got to see Sam come in. That's hysterical. Okay. I think we're kind of at a good wrap-up point tonight. Let's chat about next steps. Because, you know, this is a 30-session series I'm working on. And we just completed sessions 20 and 21. Next up is going to be the religion and spiritual belief structure. Now, this will be in a week. I might postpone it a week because I have something coming. This was this was 3rd edition. I managed to snag one of these off of eBay, and that is a darker than fuck picture. So let's try this again. There we go. That's a good cover picture. So I have this book coming, and so it's time to start developing my religious pantheon. This will probably be a full episode, just fantasy only, for the time being. Oh, there goes my desktop monitors clicking off and back on. I'm shooting for next week, but it depends on when this book arrives and how quickly I can absorb it. So that's coming up, and that's going to be really cool because we're going to venture down the roads of good and evil and law and chaos and flesh out a religious pantheon for actually our dominant species, humans, elves, dwarves, tabaxi, dragonborn, Yuan-ti, and Sahagin. And so there's going to be several pantheons developed for each culture, and then that will be used to factor in the next 2 sessions following that. The impact on magic, because obviously you've got you'll have clerics devoted to deities that will be imbued with certain powers and abilities, and then it will also feature on festivals and celebrations, because in addition to your midsummer and your midwinter, you will have your time of choosing. You will have your other religious holidays observed by the different religions, and then there may be festivals for the celebrations of great victories in battle over from prior wars, things like that. So there's going to be a lot of development occurring that kind of overlaps in these next 3 sessions, 22, 23, and 24. And then, of course, I've got to get my material prepped for sessions 26 through 30 done. And then we will be done with the 30 days of world building. However, some areas will require deeper dives to go back and revisit. Specifically, I'll be looking at the, from sanctity to sorcery for the religious and magic aspects. And then I'm going to work on some history development involving factions, political factions, military factions, secret societies, that type of thing, because you can't have an engaging world without conflict. And so we've got to, or I've got to, it's the royal we, I've got a mouse in my pocket, I've got to prep out the material for the, the things like that would be the equivalents to the Forgotten Realms, the Harpers, or the Red Wizards, or the culture of the the snow or ice dwarves to the far north, and the frost giant clans, the ice giants. So that's all going to be in development to flesh this world out. Timing-wise, I think we're looking real good because, my D&D gaming group's not meeting for 2 weeks. As they are getting close to their destination in Tomb of Annihilation, that campaign is going to be wrapping up. We're going to wrap up Tomb of Annihilation in the Forgotten Realms in Faerun. And then I'm going to have a one-shot session just that will basically serve as a kind of a session 0, where we are going to get them from the Forgotten Realms in Faerun and get them into my homebrew setting. And all future games will be then run there, campaign-wise. One-shots, I'll still dabble in Faerun and Kryn for the Dragonlance settings. We may do some Planescape, the Radiant Citadel, all kinds of spells, some Spelljammer. So there'll be a mix in there, but at that, those will be mostly one-shots or short campaigns. But we will be home brewing from there on out in our D&D setting. Now, Starfinder is coming along nicely because I've been building content like a lunatic in Fantasy Grounds. And the other day, I loaded up and did the Reach of Empire build out for a session for I gotta get Chrome out of the way here. Go away, Chrome. Hide thyself. So here we go. We're gonna transition over to Starfinder real quick. So in here I've built out a lot of the session prep for against the Ion Throne, Adventure Path 7. Adventure number 1 is the Reach of Empire, so I have got that session prep built out for that game. And so I'll actually be listing this game on Start Playing Games here and soliciting a group to play. So, and then that will be a live stream game as well. So we're going to start getting more gaming sessions going, which I'm really excited about. Participating in both RPG Match, which if you have not signed up for it, go out to RPG Match and sign up for it. And then Start Playing. I'm out there as a player. I've got a game or two that I'm going to see about contacting the DM/GM to see if they will allow me to stream it. I don't want to stream somebody else's session without their permission. And if I can get the go-ahead on those will get streamed. If I can't get the go-ahead, then you will probably get a stream or two of session notes just to let you know what's going on and anything I've learned and anything I can share with y'all as well. So other than that, appreciate y'all tuning in this evening. I have talked quite a bit, but want to thank you. If you like what you see and you're not a follower, hit that follow button, turn on those notifications. We have breached 50 followers, which I am super excited about. Now I just need to get the concurrent viewer numbers up and go from there. I am more active now on social media for HuskyHouseRPGs. If you're not following us on Twitter, I post stuff to Twitter under that username. We've got a Facebook page set up and an Instagram feed set up. So if you want to know what's going on, follow us on those platforms. and that way you'll get notifications and schedule notifications, schedule changes, or you can also follow us on Discord. I'm getting ready to update all my Twitch panels with that information for joining in. So next session will be Saturday, this Saturday. Saturday. At 7:30 p.m. Central. We will be streaming, and that's the 13th. We will be streaming Neverwinter Nights. And whatever else these guys can talk me into playing with them, we'll probably stream a little bit of that as well. But come watch us play, talk crap to each other, and have a good time. And just general hangout and, you know, enjoy yourselves. Other than that, have a great rest of your evening. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great one. And we will see you hopefully on Saturday. Come back and join us for the Shade Fest. All right, have a good one.
Mic off. Charging battery.